Welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper reading. Today, we are going to discuss the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 13 June 2018. Let's begin. The next news appears on page number 5. The news reads, ISRO offers battery technology to firms. Transfer of lithium-ion know-how to help electric vehicles startups. Now in this particular news, one of the major centers of Indian Space Research Organization, that is, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, has offered to transfer the in-house developed lithium-ion technology to competent Indian industries to establish lithium-ion cell production facilities in India. Till now, we have been importing these lithium-ion batteries mostly from China, Taiwan, and South Korea. This initiative is expected to enable zero-emission policy of the Government of India and accelerate the development of indigenous electric vehicle industry. And in this respect, a request for quotation, that is RFQ, has been issued to invite multiple qualified companies or startups to develop lithium-ion batteries in India. So far, we have seen that major center of ISRO, that is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, which is located in Kerala in Thiruvananthapuram, has offered to develop lithium-ion technology batteries in India to such competent industries who wish to establish lithium-ion cell production facilities in the country. This initiative is expected to enable zero-emission policy and also to accelerate the development of indigenous electric vehicle industry in India, as use of lithium-ion batteries is very much required for these electric vehicles. This process will help in local manufacturing of these lithium-ion batteries because we have been importing these batteries mostly from China, Taiwan, and South Korea. So let us understand some of the benefits of these lithium-ion batteries. As you can see in this particular picture, the advantages of lithium-ion batteries are high energy density, or in other words, long-lasting capacity of these batteries. High energy density, this is because lithium is a highly reactive element and a lot of energy can be stored in its atomic bonds. This is a clear advantage over a lead-acid battery or a nickel metal hydride battery. It then says it does not need prolonged charge when new. Lithium-ion cells hold their charge longer than other alternatives. That is as compared to lead-acid battery or a nickel metal hydride battery. It further says it has a relatively low self-discharge rate, less than half that of the nickel-based batteries. So it also gets discharged slowly as compared to other batteries. So these can be said as some of the advantages of these lithium-ion batteries. Here it says self-discharge. One issue with batteries is that they lose their charge over time. This self-discharge can be a major issue as far as batteries are concerned. One advantage of lithium-ion cells is that their rate of self-discharge is much lower than that of other rechargeable cells. It further says low maintenance. One of the major advantages is that they do not require maintenance to ensure their performance. So we can say that these lithium-ion batteries require less maintenance as compared to other batteries. So these are some of the benefits of these lithium-ion batteries. Now this initiative of Indian Space Research Organization will also give a boost to Make in India program. The lithium-ion cell production initiative is part of government's plan to achieve 100% electric vehicles in the country by 2030. And in this regard, even the Niti Aayog had suggested for local manufacturing of lithium batteries rather than importing them from China, South Korea, and Taiwan. Further, it says this will also give a boost to Make in India program and FAME scheme, that is faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles in India. Now this FAME scheme becomes very important with respect to your prelims as well as mains examination, as statement-based questions can be asked on FAME scheme, objectives of FAME scheme can be asked in your mains examination, and as well as its impact on environment as well as economy in terms of domestic manufacturing. So all these issues can be asked either directly or indirectly by the UPSC in your mains examination pertaining to Make in India as well as FAME scheme. It further says the objective of FAME scheme is to support hybrid electric vehicles market development and manufacturing an ecosystem in the country. So this FAME scheme not only helps to develop this hybrid or electric vehicles market in the country, but it also helps in developing an ecosystem for such kind of vehicles to exist in India. The FAME scheme has 4 main focus areas, namely technology development, demand creation, pilot projects, and charging infrastructure. So all these points with respect to Make in India program as well as FAME scheme becomes extremely crucial from our prelims as well as mains point of view, as questions on domestic manufacturing, FAME scheme, objects as well as impact of FAME scheme can be asked in your examination. Hence, this issue of electric vehicles as well as production of local lithium ion batteries in the country becomes very important. Now, we had earlier seen in this news that one of the major centers of ISRO, that is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, has offered to transfer in-house developed lithium ion technology to competent industries. So let us understand few basic points about this Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. First and foremost, that Vikram Sarabhai Space Center is located in Kerala in Thiruvananthapuram. It is the lead center of ISRO under the Department of Space, Government of India. Again, this is a very crucial information with respect to Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. It says the center is named in the fond memory of Dr. Vikram A. Sarabhai, who was a great visionary and father of Indian space program. Again, this is an important news. VSSC pioneers in rocket research and launch vehicle projects of ISRO. Again, another important point. It says the Space Physics Laboratory, that is SPL, at VSSC carries out research and studies in atmospheric science and other related space science initiatives. So we must know that this Space Physics Laboratory is located at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Further, it says ammonium perchlorate experimental plant at Aluva in Kerala and the ISRO Inertial Systems Unit IISU at Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala also forms part of VSSC. So SPL, that is Space Physics Laboratory, APEP, that is ammonium perchlorate experimental plant, as well as ISRO Inertial System Unit, that is IISU, all becomes a part of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. This is another crucial information with respect to your prelims examination. Please remember all these three institutions. So we have seen about this Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So in this news, we saw about certain advantages of lithium ion battery. Further, we saw that how this can boost the Make in India program as well as the FAME scheme. As we have seen, questions can be asked on the statement on objectives of FAME scheme as well as its impact on environment as well as economy. And this FAME scheme is based on adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles in India. Please remember this. And further, it says the FAME scheme has 4 focus areas, namely technology development, demand creation, pilot projects, and charging infrastructure. Further, we learnt about Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, that it is the lead center of ISRO under Department of Space, Government of India. It says it pioneers in rocket research as well as launch vehicle projects of ISRO. So SPL, APEP and IISU also forms part of VSS, that is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. In this regard, you can see these practice questions on both Make in India as well as ISRO. Let's see. Collaboration between public and private institutions will give a boost to Make in India program in the field of technology. Discuss. I'm sure you can write few words after going through this particular discussion. Second, it says collaboration of Indian Space Research Organization with startups and other private institutions to develop technology for daily use will not only lead innovations but will also boost manufacturing in the country. This is what exactly we have discussed so far. So I hope that after going through this particular discussion, at least you will be able to attempt these questions and give certain basic points regarding how technology can also help in boosting Make in India program, which can further help in the domestic manufacturing of these technologies. Now let's see an objective type question. Which of the following best describes the FAME scheme? First, provide cleaner fuel to aviation industry. No, this is not the correct answer. Support hybrid and electric vehicle ecosystem. Yes, this is correct. Let's see the other two options as well. Financial support to startups in MSMEs. No. Providing free meals in schools in India. No. So the correct answer here is B. So such questions can be asked in UPSC prelims examination. In this regard, let us see another question based on our discussion. Consider the following statements. Vikram Sarabhai Space Center is located in Orissa. No. Remember, we discussed that this is located in Kerala, specifically in Thiruvananthapuram. It then says VSSC is under Department of Space. Yes, this is correct. We just saw. Third, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center pioneers in rocket research and launch vehicle projects. Yes, this is also correct. So second and 3 is correct and 1 is incorrect. So question is asking which of the statements given above is correct. So the correct option is B, that is 2 and 3. So this is how questions can be framed on a particular topic in your prelims examination as well as in your mains examination. As far as syllabus is concerned, it gets covered under GS paper 3, specifically under science and technology, developments and their applications and effects in our daily life, indigenization of technology and developing new technology, and also with respect to infrastructure. So this topic becomes extremely important from GS paper 3 point of view. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 3 about RITES Limited. RITES Limited is a Government of India enterprise and was established in the year 1974 under the aegis of Indian Railways. So this RITES Limited is a Government of India enterprise and was established in 1974 under Indian Railways. So basically it comes under Ministry of Railways. Next it says RITES is incorporated in India as a public limited company under the previous Companies Act of 1956, and this is governed by a board of directors. Now all these information pertaining to RITES becomes very important as question in prelims can be asked on this RITES Limited. It further says that RITES Limited is a multidisciplinary consultancy organization in the fields of transport, infrastructure and related technologies. So it's an important institution of the Government of India which works in the field of transport as well as infrastructure. As you can read in this newspaper, it says leading player in the transport consultancy and engineering sector in India, operating since 1974 and worked in over 55 countries, multidisciplinary engineering and consultancy organization providing diversified and comprehensive array of services from concept to commissioning in full facets of transportation infrastructure and related technologies. Please remember that RITES is related to transportational infrastructure. Further it said it is the export arm of Indian Railways for providing rolling stock. This is an important piece of information. Thus, in India, RITES is also involved in various capacities in mega transportation projects like dedicated freight corridors, metros, high-speed rail studies, logistic parks, rail infrastructure, green energy, development of greenfield airports, and redevelopment of existing airports. So in this news, we saw certain basic facts about RITES Limited. That RITES Limited is a Government of India enterprise and was established in 1974 under the Ministry of Railways. And it is incorporated in India as a public limited company under the previous Companies Act of 1956. And this is governed by a board of directors. So this RITES also has a board of directors. Further, it says that it is a multidisciplinary consultancy organization in the fields of transport, infrastructure and related technologies. Now let's see a probable question which can be formed on this concept of RITES Limited. The question is, which of the following statements about RITES Limited are correct? It is a public limited company. Yes, correct. It comes under Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. No, this is incorrect as it comes under Ministry of Railways. Third, it is a multidisciplinary organization in the field of transport, infrastructure and related technologies. Yes, this is also correct. Select the correct option using the code given below. So the correct answer would be here 1 and 3. So here D. So you see how question can be framed on this RITES Limited. In your UPSC syllabus, it gets covered under GS paper 3, specifically under infrastructure pertaining to railways. So this little information about RITES Limited becomes critically important with respect to your UPSC syllabus as it pertains a part of your infrastructure, and also question in prelims examination can be asked with respect to this RITES Limited. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 15 and there are two news with respect to CPI inflation as well as industrial output. The first one reads, CPI inflation quickens to a 4-month high. Measure of retail price gains at 4.87% for May, lifted by accelerating food and fuel cost as oil climbs. So in this, the CPI inflation has increased. As far as the news on industrial output is concerned, it says April industrial output expands at 4.86%. and manufacturing and mining lead this IIP growth. So we'll see these two news respectively, as both these news reflect market sentiments and gives us an idea of the direction in which the economy is moving. In other words, it also reflects either contraction or expansion in the economy. So let us see first about CPI inflation and then about industrial output. Retail inflation has accelerated to a 4-month high in the month of May because of rising food and fuel cost. And this has lifted the CPI, that is Consumer Price Index, reading to 4.87%. The news says the following sectors saw an increase in inflation, namely food and beverage, fuel, across miscellaneous category, especially travel expenses, education and health, and in food prices, vegetables and fruits also saw certain increase in price. However, the official says the prices of vegetables are expected to come down after monsoon showers. In this respect, it is important to know that increased price of oil in the international market will continue to exert pressure on inflation in the country. And it was because of the fear of rising inflation in the market, the RBI has recently raised the repo rate by 25 basis points. Another important information with respect to CPI is that the CSO, that is Central Statistics Office under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, has revised the base year of Consumer Price Index from the year 2010 to 2012, and this has been done with effect from January 2015. So all this information with respect to CPI becomes important to understand the sentiment of the economy and also to gauge a direction in which the economy is currently moving. Now let us quickly go through the industrial production in April. It is interesting to know that the industrial activity has been expanded by 4.6% in April, and this expansion has been driven largely due to surge in manufacturing as well as mining sector. Now this IIP for April 2018 at 4.86% is 4.9% higher as compared to the level achieved in the month of April 2017. And the quick estimates of index of industrial production having base of 2011-12 for the month of April 2018 have been released by CSO, that is Central Statistics Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. This again becomes an interesting information. The high positive contributors for IIP for April 2018 are mining, scientific instruments and apparatus for drawing, calculating and measurement, commercial vehicles, sugar and cement of all types. Also, the high negative contributors are jewelry of gold, copper bars, rods and wire rods, telephones and mobile instruments, ready-made garments, knitted and air filters. In this respect, it is important to know the 8 core industries of the Indian economy: electricity, steel, cement, refinery products, coal, fertilizers, crude oil and natural gas. This is a very important piece of information as question in UPSC prelims have been asked on this particular topic. Now let us attempt this particular question on the same concept. The question reads, which of the following sectors cannot be termed as core sectors of our economy? Options are commercial vehicles, no; electricity, yes; garments, no; steel, yes. As we can see, electricity and steel forms the first two of the core industries we just mentioned. However, commercial vehicles and garment does not appear in this 8 core industries. In this, the question is asking which of the following sectors cannot be termed as core sectors of our economy. So we just saw that electricity and steel are core sectors, hence commercial vehicles and garment are not core sectors. So the correct option here is 1 and 3, and as per this, D is our correct answer. This topic comes under GS paper 3 and specifically under Indian economy and various aspects of it, including growth and development. Thus both this topic on CPI inflation and industrial output becomes important to understand the direction in which the economy is growing. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 10. The news reads, a plastic charter, mandatory segregation and recycling of plastic waste must be implemented before it is eventually phased out. This article effectively talks about recycling and then phasing out of used plastics. And in the process, the author has called to enact a charter. A charter is a document basically which imposes certain norms and is primarily for the welfare of the people and is also backed by the concerned government. Keeping this in mind, India's Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016 has called for a ban on plastic bags below a thickness having 50 microns. And it also calls for phasing out of manufacture and sale of non-recyclable multi-layered plastic within 2 years. Thus, these plastic waste management rules of 2016 calls for ban of such plastics which are below 50 micron thickness, and also it calls for phasing out of manufacture and sale of such non-recyclable multi-layered plastics, basically those plastics which cannot be recycled, within 2 years. Keeping the above rule in mind, 20 Indian states have announced a ban on use of plastic bags. In this respect, a report of CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, says that this ban is barely effective. Hence, what we actually miss is great awareness among citizens and also non-implementation of rules. Thus, according to the author, there is a need of two-pronged strategy to handle such plastic waste. First is that there is a need of a strategy to deal with the plastics which has already been disposed of. And secondly, India generates an estimated 16 lakh ton of plastic waste which is worth rupees 5600 crores. Hence, segregation of plastic wastes becomes essential for its recycling. Because if these plastic wastes are not segregated properly, then proper recycling will not take place. And this will result in diminishing value of the resultant recycled plastics. As you can see, it says if segregated plastic waste is mixed with organic or sanitary matter, its ability to recycle is diminished and leading to loss in its value. Even Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 mentions about segregation of waste at source. Hence, we learned that segregation of waste at source is important for plastics to get recycled properly. Else, there can be a loss of monetary value in such recycled plastics. In this respect, the author says that the primary responsibility of collection of used plastics and multi-layered plastic sachets lies with the producers of such plastics. However, the companies complain that this task is way too complex for them to undertake. And also another problem lies with the identification of plastics made by different companies. However, these companies can collectively implement extended producer responsibility, that is EPR, by geographically dividing a region into zones and handle the waste generated in their designated zones. This particular strategy was used in Switzerland to recycle thermocol. This process of EPR also reduces collection, transportation and recycling costs. In this respect, a Canadian company has monetized plastic waste, where such plastic waste can be exchanged for anything: cash, medical insurance, cooking fuel, etc. Thus, to conclude this particular article, we can say that companies, large corporates and even governments can cooperate and come together to implement innovative means to realize the monetary value of such plastic disposed through recycling, while simultaneously investing in ways and means to phase out the use of plastics. Thus, companies and governments can come up with ways to monetize such use of plastic wastes. And also, the governments and the corporates can find out ways to phase out plastics from our daily usage. Thus, effectively, what we need to do is to create awareness among people regarding plastic waste, to ensure segregation of collection of such plastic waste, incentivize collection of such plastic waste, recycle of these plastic waste, and of course, use as little plastic as we can by ourselves. Thus, this article effectively talks about ways to recycle plastic products and also in the process find out ways to monetize such recycled plastic wastes. But for that, proper segregation of plastic waste is necessary at its source level. And also in the process, find out ways or mechanism to phase out the use of plastic from our daily use. This topic comes under GS paper 3, specifically under environment and under conservation, environmental pollution and degradation. Thus, this article on monetization of recycling of plastic waste and also finding out ways to phase out such plastic use becomes a very important article to study from a UPSC point of view. With this, let's move on to the next news. The news appears on page number 1 and also appears as a continuation on page number 14. Trump-Kim meet ends with promise. In this, the North pledges to move towards denuclearization and the United States assures its old foe of security guarantees. So in this news, let us see the highlights of the historic meet between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. It says that Kim affirmed his firm and unwavering commitment to complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Now, this is an important move as compared to North Korea's previous stand. In reciprocity, the United States President Donald Trump offered security assurances by announcing that he would end the regular American war games with South Korea as a concession to North Korea. Now, this again is a change of stance from the United States of America, as previously the United States used to hold annual military drill in the South Korea. And this annual drill held by United States in South Korea was termed provocative by Kim Jong-un. It further says that Trump assured North Korea that USA will stop annual military exercises with South Korea. And in this respect, the United States also wanted to remove 28,500 US troops stationed in South Korea. So all these are the highlights of historic summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. In this respect, let us wait and watch how North Korea move towards this program of denuclearization, as well as how does USA ensures security to North Korea, considering its old alliance with South Korea as well as Japan. As you can read in this, Peace in the Making. Following their historic meeting on Tuesday, the US and North Korea issued a joint statement which focused on establishment of US-North Korea relations, building a lasting and stable peace regime on the Korean Peninsula, commitment to working towards the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, recovering remains of the prisoner of war and those missing in action, and following up with negotiations to implement the outcomes. As of now, this does not have a direct impact on India, but let's wait and watch on how these two countries proceed ahead with their historic summit. In your prelims examination, this topic can be covered under current events of international importance. With this, we come to an end to discussion of today's newspaper. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for daily DNS updates. With this, let's move on to the question for the day.